Welcome to InSpire. My name is Rich DuBose. I'm Director of Church Support Services, Creative Ministries for the Pacific Union Conference. And we're here once again to explore creativity, to talk about how we can use art and music and all kinds of things to help bring good to life and to help tell God's story. And we have a couple of guests with us today, Greg.
We do, Rich. I'm really excited about today's show. We've got Courtney Jepson, who is a great musician, singer-songwriter. We're going to be really inspired about not only her story, but her music. It's just a lot to look forward to. And we've also got David B. Smith, who is an author and of multiple books. And David, we want to start our show with you today.
Good.
Tell us about what it is that you do.
Well, I have a long experience as a kid. I was 2 years old, and my mom and dad did me the biggest favor of my life. They got on a boat, this is so long ago, got on a boat and dragged me to Thailand.
Oh.
I was a missionary kid. My whole childhood was spent in northern Thailand, really in the boonies, and then a number of years in Bangkok. And so many years after that, here living in Loma Linda area, I just felt the Lord calling me to say, take that ambiance, take that colorful Asian world and tell stories of God's grace and God's power and God's moving set in Bangkok. And I had no idea if it was something that would start to gel or if it would work. So I just began to pray and sit at my computer and just begin to type. And really, before too long went by, I looked at the last page and the end, and I said, the Lord made this happen. I really got that ghostly feeling of you do your best, you use your talents, but at the end of the day, it's something that the Holy Spirit has to make happen. And I got to the finish, I said, boy, he really did. He just really did. And so I'm trying to tell stories of God's working in people's lives, wonderful people's lives, where God is an active part of what they do and say and think. And it's been a lot of fun.
You've taken that upbringing that you had and just brought it to life.
Exactly, because I lived there for those years. And so ministry and service and branch Sabbath schools and going from the city out to a village on a Saturday afternoon and hanging a picture roll on a tree, I lived that life.
Yeah.
Now, of course, that was in 1959 and 60 and 61. And these stories are set in, 2015, 18, and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still the same calling where God says, here's this wonderful world of sweet, precious, valuable Buddhist jewels. And they just need to know that Jesus can be their amazing king. And we need to have people who will go there and love him and be funny and sweet and effective. And the first person, the first character in the book number 1, Rachel Marie Stone, is just this superstar teacher. She's so good at it. And so Bangkok Christian School, which is fictional but not really, says, we got to get her. We got to get her. So they draft her for 1 year. Says, just come be a superstar for us for 1 year and just show these kids what bright, funky, funny, lovable Christianity is all about.
Yeah, yeah.
So she goes out there, and I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but she falls in love and stays a lot longer than 1 year. So that's a lot of fun as well. But it's just living the Jesus life, the Christ-centered life, in front of kids who are watching. And just day by day, as you teach phonics and English and math and 2 + 2 and all the rest, she makes Jesus a part of it in a way that's just beautiful and attractive. And I had a ball writing them.
It sounds like
it's a lot of fun to work on something like that.
So David, this is one series, right?
This is one series. I got 4 of them sitting here. It's going to be 10 before I'm done. So the interesting thing is to find the new character and to find the new story. How do you pick who's going to come? There's a little bit of formula to it. They're all love stories. There's always going to be a first date, first kiss, and at the end there's going to be an engagement proposal and an engagement ring coming out. So those things are all going to happen. But you still have to say, okay, who's going to be the central person in this particular story? Kind of fun. A minor character in the first book became the central love interest in the third book, which is a lot of fun.
Okay, so this is just one series. You've written other things.
I have done a lot of other stuff. I've written a lot of nonfiction Christian, stuff. Just doctrinal studies, how to live the Christian life, how to witness, how to live for the
You
Lord.
were a writer for years for Voice of Prophecy.
For the Voice of Prophecy radio ministry. So I think the Lord helped me during those years to learn how to take regular topics and find that spicy entering way in. Because Rich, when you're writing for radio, every day you're hitting a lot of people for the first time. I mean, on a Thursday morning, you're hitting somebody who has never tuned in before, they've never studied the Word before, and so you can't just say, let's turn to Romans 3 and get going. You have to start with something that will catch their interest and be spicy, be humorous, be timely. Will refer to what they saw on CNN just the night before. You have to learn to do that. And somehow the Lord, number one, gave me some DNA for it. I have some Vendan DNA in my background, so I carry that around with me. But the second thing is just by prayer and by living life, God makes it happen.
So
It's
what
all
do you-
God's doing.
What do you do for a living? I mean, I know this is a passion of yours, and it's kind of a side project, isn't it?
This is a side project. I spend my days at San Bernardino Valley College teaching people like Courtney calculus and elementary algebra and trig and things like that. So this is strictly all day Friday and maybe a few hours on Sunday before the Dodgers come on. But that's my life.
So teaching math and writing, do those two go together?
Normally you wouldn't say so because math is very left brain, just, okay, here's the derivative of x squared. But again, in the classroom, you got to find a way to be creative, to make it fun. I teach in 2-hour blocks. You can't just walk in and say, let's turn to page 74 and here we go. There is some of that. But you have to learn to find a way to make those 2 hours come to life and be enjoyable for people. So I think the same DNA feeds both of those.
Greg, I think we would like to be in that class.
Yeah, I think so. That would be the funnest math class that I would have ever had.
Are you strong at trigonometry?
I
'Cause
am terrible at math.
I can get you fixed up.
No.
That's all right.
I was the worst calculus student, I think, ever. So
Come find me. I have a class at 10 o'clock. Tuesdays and Thursdays.
I'll be there.
Sure.
If a person were to pick up book 2 or 3
Okay.
of this, would they be able to? Each one, yes, they're a series, but each one is autonomous.
Each one
in and of
does
itself.
stand alone. Every story is self-contained. It'd be best to read straight through from the first because they do happen sequentially.
Okay.
And so a very important person in book 1 does have a cameo in book 2 and is an important godly influence. For example, book 1 is this Rachel Marie, who is she looks a lot like you, frankly. Just a young, real nice young lady who lives for the Lord but has some issues, is struggling, is debating the issue of, do I compromise or do I really live for Christ and obey him all the time and not keep dipping over to here?
Well, I think that's a common theme among believers that these conflicts do arise in our lives.
Well, you make a decision.
As struggles happen in our lives.
You make a decision, but then 3 months later, an attractive temptation away from your decision comes, and she's right that close to falling into a real pit. And then she goes, I already decided this. I already made a commitment that I was not going to live that way, and here I am heading into disaster. And right at the nick of time, the Holy Spirit just pulls her back, and in the next chapter, the guy she really ought to be with gives his heart to the Lord, and the love story gets on track, and then that goes right to the finish line. So that's fun. My point was, so then this person, who's a good mentor, in the second book, a non-believing cousin of hers is drafted out to Bangkok, and so then Rachel Marie is God's ambassador to help her to get with the Lord, to learn to live the vibrant life, and then she falls in love, and the whole thing begins to spin out. So as the books progress, you really do want to kind of experience them in order, but you could read number 7 all by itself if you really just saw that on a laundromat dryer. You could grab one.
It sounds like your characters are very relatable people, and
I hope so. I don't tend to write villains well. I have done a little bit of that. They're basically likable people with flaws, with temptations, with struggles, and they fall away from what they've committed to. And thank God we have a merciful Savior, and it comes back. The main thing running all the way through is just attractive, grace-bathed Christianity. I believe in a merciful Jesus I believe in a God of second and third and 10th chances. One thing I really like about this series, there's a United Christian Church in downtown Bangkok, and it's fictional, but I try to write it as I wish all churches could be, where the pastor loves folks and it's a community of nurturing and people are forgiving of each other and they have a lot of fun at potlucks after church every week. Of course, a Bangkok potluck is like no place else that you can imagine. So that's fun to write. But it just gives you a chance to write, this is what I think a good Christian school ought to be like. This is what a church and a community ought to be like. And this is what God's people need to try to live like, to be loving and not judgmental. So it gives you a chance through fiction to say the things you think are important. And some books just have one key takeaway, and the whole 350 pages of creating and writing and just some mundane stuff gives you the chance on the very last page to say, okay, this is what's important. This is what God brought you here to do. And so the whole story just sets up these moments that a writer loves to say. Yeah.
So if a person is interested in finding out about these, where would they find the books?
Basically, Amazon is the marketplace. They're all sitting there. We have them in print form, and they are very inexpensive e-books. I'm just now trying to make a large print version for people like my mom who would like to read 14-point type. But they're basically sitting at Amazon. So
they just look up your name?
They can either type in the title of the book or just David B. Smith. They'll all jump right up. DavidBSmithBooks.com kind of has a list of everything I'm working on, including a lot of the nonfiction, Bible study and that sort of thing.
And you're on Facebook too?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Wonderful.
It's a lot of fun.
Thanks for sharing your art with us
I appreciate it.
all of this good work.
My
really
pleasure.
can see God working through you.
Thanks.
Through your stories. Thanks. And Courtney, I've just, as a musician myself, I don't relate to being a writer like that, David. I'm very impressed with that. But as a musician, and Rich and I are both in that, that's our art as well. I'm really just intrigued by what you're doing with your music. Tell us a little bit about how you got involved with music. And it's like most of us, it's probably been something in your soul most of your life. But tell us your story.
Yeah, music has always been a really important part of my life. And I feel like for me, it's been a constant in feeling connected to God. And I didn't start writing my own music till I was in college, actually. And I was hesitant to share my music or really kind of move forward more with it.
Why were you hesitant?
Good question. I think there's always a voice whenever you're especially really called to something, telling you that you're not good enough. So that's been a big struggle for me of just feeling inadequate. And my biggest fan was always my brother. And my whole life, he was always pushing me and always, frustrated, telling me, like, why aren't you pursuing music more seriously? I don't even understand why you're getting a master's degree. You should be doing music. And I was like, no, maybe at some point, whatever. But really, I was just scared. And then 2 years ago, almost exactly, my brother passed away in a car accident. All of a sudden, and we were very, very close. And kind of a way to honor him, what was really tugging on my heart was to pursue music finally more, and to kind of not lean on my own courage, but to kind of take that courage and that courage that he always had in me, and that belief that he always had in me, and to move forward more seriously with music. And so actually, our community came together. Things just really fell in place in an amazing way. I feel like I just finally surrendered and stopped running from it. And the more I surrendered, the more things started to fall into place. And our community raised they raised a lot of money so that I could actually create an album. So I'm actually in process of, and everything is my own music. I'm in process of finishing my first album. I got pregnant along the way, and that kind of slowed the process down. But it's really been this beautiful opportunity for me to show up for music through my grief process, and to just be present even when it's really scary, and to just bring that authenticity and surrender to the music that I make. And that's really kind of just been a process throughout the whole album. I feel like it really shows, I've written through, the positive and the depths of the struggle and the loss, and kind of starting to find the light again in our life.
You mentioned that you started writing songs in college. But obviously you must have learned how to play the keyboard before that. When did you start taking piano or whatever?
Oh, I was terrible at piano. My parents made me take lessons, and I loved listening to piano, and I enjoyed playing, but I hated practicing.
Yeah.
So I eventually stopped in like 8th grade, and I actually studied voice partially in college as a vocal minor, and I needed some piano to be able to accompany myself. So that's actually when I started playing piano again, and then I kind of started exploring songwriting.
Yeah.
So do you mostly play by ear?
People ask me that. It's funny. I don't really play by ear, and I don't read music well. I kind of just write my own stuff. So
I like
Make up
that.
your own chords?
You're my kind of musician. Yeah.
yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
So
Well, I'm just so impressed with your community raised the funds to
Yeah.
record the recording process. It costs tens of thousands. I mean, you can spend
Yeah.
ridiculous amounts of money.
Yeah.
That's quite a supportive community. That's
yes,
very, very impressive.
there are a lot of
And-
people that love my brother, and
well, I know that's true, and I think it also speaks to how they feel about you as well, of course. And
I think we
that's
need to
really
hear some music.
I think we do need to hear some music. Will you step over to the piano and
yeah, absolutely.
please play us a couple songs if you want to just head over there now.
Okay.
Rich, I just really feel fantastic about this show. I mean, this is, we've got two great artists here, and we're just looking forward to hearing Courtney, her music as well. It's comes from deep within her. I think that's pretty obvious.
Right.
I will trust in you, though I cannot see. For you have a plan for me. I will trust in you, though I cannot see. For you have a plan for me. I will trust in you, though I cannot see. For you have a plan for me. I will trust in you, though I cannot see. For you have a plan for me. And you won't let those be for me into battle and into victory. And you won't let those be for me into battle and into victory. So I will trust in you. Your ways are higher than all my ways, and your thoughts are higher than all my praise. Oh, your ways are higher than all my ways, and your thoughts are higher than all my praise. Oh, your ways are higher all my ways, and your thoughts are higher than all my pains, and you won't let those before me into battle and into victory. And you won't let those before me into battle and into victory. Oh, so I will trust in you, though I cannot see. For you have a plan for me. So I will trust in you, though I cannot see. For you have a plan for me. And you promised me, and I will sing of your goodness, Lord. I will sing of your love, and I will sing of your goodness, Lord. I will sing of your love, and I will sing, Lord. I will sing, Lord. I will sing, Lord. Praise, oh. I will sing, Lord. I will sing, Lord. I will sing, Lord. Praise, and I will sing of your mercy, Lord. I will sing of your grace, and I will sing of your mercy, Lord. I will sing of your grace, and I will sing, Lord. I will sing, Lord. I will sing, Lord. Praise, oh. I will sing, Lord. I will sing, Lord. I will sing, Lord. Praise, oh. I will sing, Lord. I will sing, Lord. I will sing, Lord. Praise, oh. I will sing, Lord. I will sing, Lord. I will sing, Lord. Praise, because there was a time in my life when my voice, it failed me, oh. But you are faithful, Lord. You are faithful. And you came and restored it to me. You said, my child, not by you, but through me. Cause I have called you to sing, 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 oh. So I will lift my voice, oh, in praise, singing to my Lord every day. And I will sing of your faithfulness in my life. I will sing a new song. And I will sing of your faithfulness in my life. I will sing a new song. I will sing, Lord. I will sing, Lord. I will sing, Lord. Praise, oh. I will sing, Lord. I will sing, Lord. I will sing, Lord. Praise, oh. I will sing, Lord. Oh, I will sing. I will sing, oh, oh. I will sing, Lord. Oh, I will sing. I will sing your praise.
Courtney, come on back over and join us. We'd like to. Wish we could just sit here all day and listen to you. What an incredible gift you have. I thought you said you didn't consider yourself a keyboard player. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I really see the depth from where your art's coming from. It's just terrific.
Do you have a Facebook page?
I do. I also have a website, CourtneyJepson.com, and actually the first song I played is available, recorded for free download there, and also another song that I really wrote when I was in the depths of grief that is available for free download as well. So there's 2 songs there.
So are you doing concerts around Southern California or
I'm
other
not
places?
yet, but that is in the near future. Yeah, I have a
Okay.
little 5-week-old baby girl at home, so wait until she's a little bit older and when we wrap up the album, and then that's the plan. So
I actually first saw you perform over at Converge.
oh, okay.
That was last November, I think it was,
Yeah,
over in Temple
Temple
City.
City,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I thought, I need to interview her.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah,
Thanks for having
yeah,
me.
thank you.
That's good.
I want to make some of this information available on our website.
Our website is visitinspire.org. Anyone that wants to see anything about what we do at Inspire can go there and to find out about these 2 artists as well as any artists that we're highlighting on the show.
Exactly. Sometimes we also do almost like email interviews where we have you respond to different questions, and then we put an article on the website where we have more information, that kind of unpacks a little bit of what we've talked about here, because our time is so short, So we will probably approach you guys about that in the near future here. Anything else for us, Greg, that...
Well, I just, like I said before, I just love to see the variety of gifts that God gives to people. Here, I mean, we've had, if you remember some of our past shows, Rich, we've had a man that stood here and played like a 12-foot-long alpenhorn, and and we've had such broad diversity in art, and it really speaks to God has infinite number of gifts.
Underwater photographer.
That's right, underwater photographer, musicians, of course, and authors now, and illustrators. We had a woman that made purses and just incredible art that we've seen. Yeah. And today's guests are, just adding to that diversity. David, appreciate what you brought us with the novels that you're writing that are Christian novels. And this show is about highlighting people that tell God's story. And what better way to do that than writing stories about fictional characters?
The uniqueness. I mean, what she does, what I do, so completely different.
Right.
And yet you get a picture of the wonder of Christ from both avenues. I thought that was just terrific.
Yeah, that's very true. So we'd just like to thank both of you for coming, and to all of those watching the show. We just appreciate your viewership and your support of what we're doing here. Remember, our website is visitinspire.org. Please go there and find out lots of things that you'd like to know about these guests and many others. Thanks for joining us today.